Welcome
to Engaged and Divorced,
where I wear the rings.
And I'm trying to figure out these damn things.
Man, how's it going? It's been
You
so
always
long.
gotta ask me first.
It's like a week.
It's been a whole week.
Wow. How is it going figuring out those damn things?
You know, it's getting better.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I'm figuring stuff out. I think. I don't know. How are you?
Pretty solid, not gonna lie.
How's married life?
It's been good. It's been really good. I've just been like on like a high like the last couple weeks, you know?
Mm-hmm.
One of those like
that honeymoon phase.
I mean, just with life, like I'm just like I just feel positive and happy, and I mean, yeah. So
good.
It might be the 7 in me, but maybe I'm avoiding all my problems that I can't see right now.
Somebody brought up a good point last week. You know how you were sharing in, I think it was last week's episode, about how you get like depressed sometimes. You just like shut off from the world.
Right.
Somebody like mentioned how like our hormones can affect that each
month.
For
sure.
And I definitely get that. Like a week before my period, I'm like a hot mess express.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I so sad? Why does life suck? And then I get my period and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a woman. Yeah,
I don't know. For me, it's just random days. Cause like I'm like 2 days away from my period and I feel great. But like, I don't know. Sometimes it just like
that's
hits.
So weird that we have our period on the same day, by the way. I'm like 2 weeks away from mine. Or 2 days. Sorry.
Oh. I don't know.
We're always synced.
I'm going to be honest. I just did not do a good job this month of taking my birth control because I like
Kiley.
Don't worry, guys. Everything's okay. But
well, we don't know that yet. No matter what happens, it's going to be
really
okay.
Stupid, and I accidentally took like the wrong week. Like I took like the second pills on the first week, and then they all got messed up, and so I suck at it. But anyway,
this is how your niece was born, Kiley. Eden was a birth control baby.
I don't know why I felt like sharing that, but my cycle's just like, you know, it's like one of those things where it's like, who knows when I'm going to get my period? We'll find out next time.
With the pill, I feel like it's pretty consistent every month though, isn't it? Like it comes right at the...
It's just because like I just messed it up. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like because each pill has a different amount of hormones in it.
Right.
And so like, because I took more at first, I don't know if it's just going to like come late. Last month was a hot mess. Yeah. Last month it took a while to come because I had to like wait a week to start my birth control because I lost my insurance. So like, anyway, it's all good in the hood. My body's just like a big question mark right now. Like, what is happening? So
I feel that. I actually got off of the IUD.
Oh.
Right before I got divorced because we were like trying to have a baby.
Yeah.
And then that messed up everything in my body. I actually kind of question if I have PCOS. I'm not 100% certain, but like I have almost all the symptoms of PCOS. And now my cycles are like all over the place. So I got back on the IUD. And since then my periods are regular again. Like the IUD has actually regulated it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's
it's
good.
Very weird.
Yeah. I had to go on birth control like 4 years ago because it was just like my periods my whole life were just like sporadic. Like I never knew when it was coming. So anyway, that's the talk that you all wanted to hear. So you're welcome.
But it's actually a good segue into today's conversation.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
sort of.
We've had some requests for Kiley to share more about married life because I've shared a lot of my story and she shared a lot of her story too. But there are differences between being engaged and married. And you've been married longer than you've been engaged on this podcast.
That's true.
You're only engaged for like 3 weeks on the podcast.
If you're just tuning in, I'm not engaged. I'm literally married, but
you've been married for almost 3 months now. Well, it's like 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Right? Almost 3. Next week will be 3.
Oh,
right.
Next week.
Yeah.
What was it? The 16th? Yeah.
I'm
really bad at dates, but yeah. So just kind of wanted to talk about that. Like at first I was like, I don't know if I have that much to talk about because like I said, we were already living together. Like, yeah, I don't feel like a lot has changed, but I guess I can just talk about like, how it feels to be married and things like that. And we'll go from there.
Well, I actually had, a a subscriber that's turned into a friend of mine, and she sent me this message, and I sent it to you before I came over here, and I want to read it because I think it's like a really, really good question, and probably something that you all are very curious about. And maybe you don't want to get into like all of it right this second. Maybe like more into the podcast. It's up to you.
Yeah.
But the question, it's not really a question. It's more like a comment, but saying, I think it would have been cool to know Kylie's perspective as a new wife with her body and what it's like to be intimate or have sex now that your previous culture says it's okay. We grew up Christian, in case you're just tuning in here. Mm-hmm. Has she noticed a change in being a fiance versus wife when being sexual? What's it like to be engaged and intimate versus married and intimate? Yeah. And then she added, there's the whole woman lets herself go once she's married bullshit. Mm-hmm. I would love to know her take on that.
Oh, girl, don't get me started. Oh, man, we're going to save that part for the end.
Okay.
But, this is a lot to unpack because, of course, it's like, growing up being told, like, do not have sex until you're married. You will go to hell. I don't know. They just say these things and, like, you know, we've talked about it many times before on here. But, like, I think I was, like, in the beginning of my relationship, I was like scared of that, like when we're married, like, is it gonna be, am I gonna feel different about it? I don't know. It was just like, it's one of those things where you like convince yourself that somehow the day you get married is gonna change everything. And that just wasn't the case. So I think, sorry, I'm trying to organize my brain. My brain's just a jumbled disaster.
Well, I have a question for you, actually.
Yeah.
Was Basil your first? I mean, I obviously know the answer, but let's share with everybody else.
Yeah, because I was scared of, I mean, I did things with other guys, but I was scared of, like, obviously, I thought sex would, like, literally kill me. So yeah, and we didn't wait till marriage, but, like, it was fine, like, because I knew I wanted to be with him and I felt comfortable with him, and I didn't feel guilty about it. So I think I finally got to a point before I made the decision to do that with him. Like, I finally got to a point with myself where I had to kind of take away like what I thought sex was and like gain a new perspective on it. And if anything, it's just become something very comfortable. And it did take a lot of like me just trying to like convince myself like that's not the truth. Like, you're gonna be fine. It's okay. It's not like it's like that big of a deal. Like, it really isn't, but I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like anything's really changed since I've gotten married. I think honestly, it's the way that people approach it now. Like, family probably is more willing to talk about it now that we're married.
Yeah, it's acceptable now.
Yeah.
So it's like, you guys have that good old hearty sex.
Right. Now it's like, so when's the
Go
kids?
make the babies. Mm-hmm. Go make them babies.
So it's just kind of funny seeing how people like look at us differently. Like, I don't know. And I'm not saying like anyone's judgmental or anything, but like, there's just that natural thing that comes into it where it's like, oh, they're married and now they can go do it. It's totally fine. And now they can make jokes and things like that, which is kind of weird. Because to me, it didn't feel like that much changed. But, yeah, I would say, I don't know. Did that kind of answer? I'm trying to think of.
I'm curious more. I'm curious about like more of your first time, if you don't mind sharing details. I'm curious if like you guys were already at a place where you had like said you loved each other. Yeah, you were already at that place.
We were, yeah. So that was like, we started dating when I told my story. It was like during my like Christian era, like Christian girl, like goes to church every week. Like, I'm talking like the most devoted to my faith I've ever been.
Oh, she was like, you had like a color-coded journal.
I had a journal. I was doing my like
every morning for like an hour. She was like journaling and reading the Bible.
I was doing my Bible study every morning. Like, and so Basil knew where I was and that like I wanted to take things slow. I've always been that way with relationships because I'm terrified of commitment. But obviously he helped with that. But like, so I really was at a point where I was just like, we need to wait. And he was very respectful about that, which I think is important because both people need to obviously consent, which is not something that people are taught. Right. I wasn't taught it till college. And so I did let guys take advantage of me like before this whole situation because I didn't know that you're allowed to say no. You know what I mean? You're not taught that. But anyway, that's a different story, tangent. But and so we waited until like almost a year into our relationship. And yeah, we've already said I love you. Like, we've already done other things. It wasn't like it was like
you
so
you worked your way up to that point.
Right. It was just kind of, it just
but
kind of happened.
But a year in.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I was used to it because I've been in relationships where I was like, we're not going to have sex. We can do other things, but like, those legs are closed, honey. You know what I mean? So, and I wasn't his first, which is fine. But like, I was also intimidated that he had more experience. And it was like, what if I don't know what to do? Yeah. So like the first few times it was, you know, I'm going to be honest, because nobody ever is about it. It's like, it's hard to enjoy it the first few times because it's like, I don't know what's going on.
Especially if you don't know your body yet.
Right. You don't know
if
what
you
haven't
had like sex toys and you haven't experimented with yourself, you don't really know what you like.
Right. So yeah, that was like 3 years ago. So now we've gotten to a point where we know what we like. But
well, and that takes time too, to be able to like communicate openly and honestly about like what turns you on, what you don't like to be able to share those things in the moment and almost like direct him. Like, women are actually supposed to be the conductor of sex. They're like supposed to tell the man, do this, don't do that, because like their whole goal is to like pleasure us. I mean, the majority of them at least, but that's like their inward desire, and we have to communicate what turns us on, because every woman's so different.
Exactly.
Like, he may have had a partner before who enjoyed this and you don't like that,
right?
So it's up to us to communicate our standards and like what we need in the bedroom.
I honestly think that's why I'm glad I waited, because like some people can figure that out quickly and like, you know, they're cool with like having sex at a young age, which is great for them. But like for me, it was just like I didn't have a healthy perspective of it. So I'm glad I waited until I did, and I was more educated, because then I felt more comfortable and like I knew that like I have a say in it. Like, it's not like this whole male dominance thing. Like, that is absolutely not. So
and you conducted that, because if you would have like right after you guys started dating, you were like, I'm ready. Yeah, he would have been down. Right, down to clown.
For sure.
Do people still say that? What? Down to clown. But you set the standard, and you were like, I need to wait, and he respected that, and that was good. And that was probably another way that you like realized like this guy's the one. Like, any man who's willing to wait for you and to like put your feelings first in that regard, especially, they're a keeper.
He was definitely very respectful about it the whole time. It was never like, when are we gonna do it? Like, I had exes in the past that was like, we've been dating for 6 months, are you joking? Like, it was just like, you're not gonna convince me to do it that way. Like, you're gonna make me feel worse about it. And I've also been the one that was like, we should do it, and then I've had an ex that was like, no, we should wait. And so I've been on the other side too. But I think it is important to make sure that you're comfortable with the person, obviously, so that you know that you can trust them and kind of know that they're going to respect your body. It's very important that you take care of it. So
did you feel like when you guys were having sex for the first time that like Jesus was watching you?
No.
Because that's the kind of messaging I was always deathly afraid of.
I didn't even want to think about that. No, I didn't. Because I think I was finally at a point where it was like, you know, I wasn't deconstructing my faith yet, but like I definitely toned it down a bit. And so it wasn't like, I think I would have if it was like a year before that, but I was at a point where I was just like I said, kind of had a more healthy mindset on it. That's gross. I don't want to think of that. I don't want to.
I mean, there's people that say like sex is worship, right? Which grosses me out. I hate that. Everything is worship, including sex. It's like, stop. Please don't say that.
Now I'm curious what some of these people be doing.
I mean, growing up church and then being in ministry ourselves, like, there was some really
pray
cringy
before sex?
We did. Sometimes we did. Or we'd read the Bible before we had sex.
Oh, no.
And it did not put me in the...
No, yeah, that will not.
I'll tell you that much right now. And I also waited until my wedding night, but like we had done other things and like messed around, and there was like so many times where I was like, let's just do it, and he's like, no, we mustn't.
We mustn't.
Until we're married. He doesn't even talk like that, but
we mustn't.
The Lord he was the one that was like, no. Wait. And I was the one that was like, let's do that. And I used to have like so much self-righteousness back in the day, because I was like, I waited until my wedding night to have sex. And it was like, how old were you? 19? Oh, wow. You really had to wait a really long time.
Right. That's funny.
It's funny now. Everybody has their own convictions with sex,
Yeah.
and their own relationship with it and their own preferences. Like,
right.
Maybe you like casual sex. There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
if that's
not
what
at
you
all.
enjoy.
Not at all.
Maybe you want something more committed and steady and stable.
Yeah. I think now that I'm looking back at it, it really had to do with where I was in my faith. Because you are told that all the time in the church. Like, it's the biggest deal in the world. Especially if you're in like some type of college group or youth group. Like, it's the biggest message you're told.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where if you're like on leadership, you have to go and like confess to like a pastor on staff or something, and then they have to like do like counseling with you. This has happened to so many couples that I know, where they go and tell the pastor like, we've sinned, like we feel terrible, we feel so bad, which that makes me so sad, because like sex is such a beautiful, intimate, wonderful bonding thing, and I mean that's what it's supposed to be. But when you feel the need to share with your pastor that you just had sex with this woman or this man that you love, like that to me is just disgusting. Like, you should never have to share that information with anybody. That's between you and that person. Like, that is your guys' relationship. Right. And I hate that about the church. That's just another thing that I really hate, is like the need to repent for every single thing we do. And it's like, you love each other, you feel the connection, and you made that decision as adults to have sex, or maybe even as teenagers, whatever age you were, but you both consented to the experience, and you both decided to do that together. And now you're like basically apologizing for doing it.
No, that's not okay.
And it's so sad. That's so sad to me.
Oh, that's terrible.
And there's always more repercussions for the woman too.
Oh God.
Like she gets shamed the most for
because the guy
kind of
probably
thing.
just stumbled,
Yeah.
She was the one who made him stumble.
Well, what were you wearing? What did you say? Did you touch him first?
Oh God, I hate when people say, "What were you wearing?"
Yeah.
Did you ask for it?
It's so gross. It's like a delicate balance of like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how I'm even really going to like talk about it with my kids. Because they already know what sex is. Like, I've shared that with them. But when it comes to them like growing up and having more hormones and like then they start having interest in people and boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff, like I want to be able to tell them sex is a big deal. Yeah. Like it is a big deal because there's repercussions. Like, you could get pregnant, you could get an STD. Right. But none of that shame bullcrap that like we grew up with, where it's like you're getting a piece of your heart taken away and it's never coming back. Yeah. Your soul is turning black. But more of like, education. You need to know that this is like what you want. Yeah. And that you feel ready to do it. But you have every right to say no if you don't feel ready. Like, it's part of teaching the consent and stuff.
I always talk about the tea video. I don't know if I showed you, but I always talk about it because I had to teach consent to kids in college for something. I don't remember what it was for. But we basically just played a video that was like, if you don't want tea, you don't have to have tea. Sometimes you want it, other times you don't, and that's okay. You're allowed to say no, even if you've already accepted the tea before. It's a really good video.
That's so good.
And I think it teaches kids the metaphor of like, yeah, sometimes I don't want that. Sometimes I do. Like, sometimes I want to hug that person. Other times I don't want to be touched. And I think if they grow up knowing that, I think that's the most valuable thing, because they know nobody can take advantage of them. Yeah. And also they can respect other people's boundaries too. Exactly. So yeah, I think just being able to educate and talk about like STDs and that kind of thing, that's more important than being like, don't have sex. It's like the Mean Girls. Don't have sex. You will die.
And it's that thing where it's like, I don't know, all throughout my life, it was always like, if you have a daughter, it's a lot harder to raise daughters. There's a bigger responsibility because they can get pregnant. You better be scared if you're raising a daughter. But to me, I'm more concerned about raising my son. Yeah. Like, obviously both of them, I have to raise both of them. Right. But my son needs to know like what to do to a woman, what not to do, like how to treat a woman. Definitely. How to, ask for consent even before he like kisses her or touches her or anything. Like, all those things matter. And the amount of like dates that I've gone on where like guys just friggin' kiss you or touch you without even asking is like crazy to me. Yeah. It's like, none of these guys were taught what to do, and they're screwing themselves over from it. Like, they don't even know how to have an actual relationship with consent. It is really sad. Anyways, we just went off on a tangent.
Yeah, but this is a whole other topic. But
this is what we do.
I do want to mention something I heard the other day. This like really made me mad, but I've heard it so many times before. And it's, I respect her too much to have sex with her. Have you ever heard people say something along those lines?
Yes.
Like, I respect her body too much. So you're saying that everyone else you've had sex with, you didn't respect? Like, you should be able to respect her even if you have sex. Like,
I'm still guilty of doing that kind of stuff. I'm going to be honest.
That rubs me the wrong way, but like, it's something I used to probably say or like, you know,
it makes sense. Like, there's a lot of things that I don't even think about that I think. But then when I say it out loud like that,
it's like unpacking that.
I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay. Yeah.
Like, imagine someone just being like, I respect you too much to have sex with you, but it's like, why would you not be able to respect me if you did? Like, it's just kind of thinking of like, I don't know. To me, it just sounds like I'm not going to treat you like how I treated everyone else.
Yeah.
I don't know. I heard that the other day and I was just like, wait, I need to unpack this because like I've heard this too much. So it's just those types of things where like we have to kind of think of it, of the things we've been told our whole life, you know, and kind of think about what does that actually mean. But
yeah.
Anyway, thanks for coming to our TED Talk.
That's very, very true. Yeah, I'm still guilty of that sometimes. Like thinking that if a man really respects you, he'll wait. And I'm kind of torn on this because, and tell us what you guys think in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. But it's one of those things I go back and forth on because I'm like, in one sense, having a man wait, like you did with Basil, creates that deep connection, right? That's going to bond you together even more during sex, because sex is like the glue. Well, that holds you together, right? So and that's totally okay, but I think just the way it's worded. Yeah. Like if you're like, I really care about her so much that I want to wait with her. Like that's different. Yeah. But when it's like, I respect her too much to do that to her. Like it just sounds like they have the power. That's okay. Yeah, so I think it's just, what you're saying. Like it's not that's a good point. It's not the motive behind it, or maybe it is, but it's like just the way that things are worded. Like respect her too much. But like if you're actually respecting her, then you're making sure that you have consent. Yep. So I got what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I guess it's just the way it's worded. Yeah, totally. Yeah. That does change it, because you're right. It does make it sound like he still has like the control. Yeah. In that scenario. He gets to decide when it's time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like a passive aggressive comment to make, because it's like, what are you saying? All the other couples who have decided to go there are not respecting them, their girlfriends or whatever. Exactly. Yeah. Good point. So marriage. I did want to talk about like from like your marriage and seeing you get married at 19. I was like, what, 12? I don't know. Yeah. But kind of the things that I saw in your marriage, and not just yours, but like a lot of marriages that I saw, and like things that I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. Obviously the biggest one was you getting married so young. And I think you told me multiple times, like, don't get married young. And so I was like, okay. Yes, ma'am. Like you made it very clear that you were like, that is something I regret. And like, and you and our brother Jeremy both had like severe commitment issues. We were like, okay, yes, we won't do that. I'm glad my marriage scarred you guys. Yeah, but I feel like I didn't really like want to get married that much anyway, but college probably helped me just like find something else to do. But yeah. So it's funny because it's like, even though you are married right now, I could totally see you as somebody who just never gets married. I never thought I would, honestly. I didn't even have a Pinterest board for my wedding. Like I never was like, oh man, I'm going to get married in summer. Like I was never that girl. Never cared about that. Like I wanted to elope for a while, and then we got engaged and I was like, no, I think I want a wedding. But yeah, no, I would have probably just not gotten married if like came down to it. But anyway. You could have done both. What? You could do both. I don't know what that means. In one life, you can get married. In your next life, you don't have to. Oh. If you believe in the different lives, I don't even know. I was like, I just saw a TikToker who's in an open marriage. And that's a whole concept. Oh, yeah. That's what I thought you meant. I was like, what? Yeah. Okay. What do you think were like the biggest challenges when you first started having sex before you were married? Do you feel like there were challenges with that? Do you feel like you had guilt that was attached to that? Or did you ever feel like, okay, wait, we need to slow down now. Like we've gone too far. Like this is too much.
I don't think I ever felt that because I felt comfortable.
That's good.
And I don't know. I think I've always been the type that's like, I don't feel guilt. Like I just kind of accept things as they are. And like, I don't know, maybe it was just kind of what I told myself, but I don't worry about what other people think of me. Like I don't really care about that. And I was always just like, I'm cool with Jesus. Like we're good. So I was like, I didn't feel guilty because I didn't think anyone else would really need to know, or like, because to me that'd be like if like someone was like, oh, you're having sex before marriage. Like I knew that I didn't have people in my life that would do that. Well, like I felt like I could be pretty open.
Except for me.
Right. I mean, at that time you were changing a little bit. I don't remember when I told you, but I don't remember.
You told me like last year. I asked you about it. I think it was when we were in New York City.
No way. It was before that.
No.
What?
I don't think so. We didn't really talk about stuff like this.
Oh, wow. That trip really changed our lives.
It did.
It wasn't guilt so much as it was like, I'm just trying to figure out what I like. Because like, it just, I don't know. It was.
Right. I mean, that's what everybody has to do when they
have
it for the first time. Like, you have to figure it out together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I didn't feel the guilty side. So, I don't know. I guess I'm a bad Christian. Just kidding.
How dare you? It's funny because I felt guilt all the time.
When you were married?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
I think it was just because it was like off limits for so long, which wasn't even that long because I was 19. But, my whole life being told like, you don't want to do that. That when I finally was able to, it just felt wrong somehow. I don't know, like dirty. I don't know. It was just weird trying to transition from like being pure and holy to not.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like some people choose to wait until marriage because like that's what they want, which is great. But when you like choose to wait because you feel like you have to do that, that's when I think there's problems.
Yeah.
Because it's now, sex is now something that like only happens as like a reward for doing something. And not for the actual connection of taking your relationship to the next natural stage.
Yes, that's very true.
Like it should move naturally to that direction. And I know a lot of people that have waited until they're married and then they find out that they're like not at all sexually compatible.
Yeah.
That is a thing. I hate when Christians say that's not a thing. Like it 100% is a thing. And one of my friends actually ended up being gay. His marriage to his wife did not work out.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just one of those things where it's, if you feel like you can't have it because you're not supposed to have it.
Well, yeah.
That's not the right mindset.
Then you rush into a marriage. And
yeah, that too.
It's like 9 out of 10. It usually doesn't work out, or you just never admit that it's not working out. Like,
yeah.
I always wonder that too. Like how many Christian couples are together just because they feel like they can't get divorced.
Yep.
So
what else do you feel like you learned from witnessing my marriage? It's kind of hard because you can't get into like details, but
I mean, I always like respected the fact that you were like best friends from what I could see. Like I liked how you both could like joke around and like sing together. And so like I used that as a way to be like, I need to find someone who has like similar interests as me. Cause you both like to like perform and that kind of thing. You like to do things that were similar. And, so I think that was a part of it that I was like, okay, yeah, I want that.
The positive part.
Right. Okay. So, I would say probably just like looking at the things that maybe you fought about or things I could tell were kind of off, and just being like, taking mental notes. Like, so make sure that the person you choose to be with, like, doesn't do that, or like does it differently. Like, I don't know. I think I'm very much an observer of like, I don't know, because my brain's always going. So it was probably just like watching you do things and then being like, okay, do this next time. Or for your relationship. Like,
yeah, we learn a lot by like observing others and their relationships.
Yeah. And probably just things you've told me just to look out for, or like, you know, things that you enjoyed, or, you know, just kind of hearing your perspective too. Because I've always looked up to you. So I'm always like, I want to hear your side of things. And you've taught me a lot about things that are not healthy, you know, or things that are healthy. So I think I've learned a lot from you that way.
Good. I'm glad it's not all negative.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah, I remember when I would say like you guys were dating for like a year or something.
Yeah, I think so.
And you were like being silly with each other, but you were like, "You're so dumb, huh? You're dumb." I don't know. You guys are like name calling, but like in a joking way.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey guys,
you really shouldn't say that.
You really shouldn't do that." I was like, that's how my marriage started. It started off with us like making fun of each other a lot, but it was always like, "Oh, just kidding."
Yeah.
And I remember my parents being like, "I don't like that you guys do that." And we were like, "Why? We're having fun."
Yeah.
It's probably just like an immaturity thing, honestly.
Honestly, yeah.
But they were like warning me against it. And I was like, "You guys don't know my life. You don't know my marriage." And then of course that became an issue later on, because like it got to a point where it's just like, you start to believe the funny insults that you're getting. So I immediately was like, "Basil, Kylie, don't do that anymore." And they don't do it anymore. Yeah. Like occasionally you said that sometimes you'll like be like, "You're dumb" or whatever, but that's it. It's not like,
we say it as like a compliment, like it's like a cute like compliment, like "You're so stupid." But like we're like, you know, we're not like "You're dumb." Like,
yeah.
But I think that was immaturity, because we went from being like best friends and being able to joke like that to like starting a romantic relationship.
That's
and so
true. It was, best friends do joke like that.
Yeah. So we have matured so much. Like looking back at like where our relationship started, we were literally children who were just like, "Hi, best friend." Oh, we were so annoying. And then like getting into the relationship and being like, "Oh, I don't know how we feel about this and this." Like we had a lot of issues with that. And then like we had a really hard time during long distance, you know, where we were trying to make things work and we would fight all the time. So like we've been through a lot of phases together, and I think we've almost been dating. We've been together for 4 years almost. So I think it has matured in ways where we know like how to respect the other person and like how to talk to each other. So I think we have matured in that way.
Yeah. I remember telling you guys that, and you actually like, you really responded to it.
Yeah.
You were like, "Oh, okay, thanks for letting us know." Because you guys didn't want your marriage to end up like mine. You're like, if Shaylee says not to do it, then we better not.
Yeah. Well, and I think I was just like, whatever. And Basil was more of the one that was like, you know, she's got a point. Like, because like, I don't know. He's very good at like, we should,
because you're not serious.
And I'm just like, "Oh, whatever. Everything's fine." So, yeah, now that I'm really looking back at it, I think I'm glad we waited so long to get married, because we really did have to go through hard things in our relationship and like really test each other and like kind of see how the other reacts in different situations. So, I think that's just brought me to marriage and feeling very satisfied with my marriage, because we're best friends still. Like whenever he's at work, I'm like, I miss him so much. And then he gets home and I'm like, "Hi." And we hang out every night. Like the other night, his friend came over and he was like, "I wanted him to leave so I could hang out with you." Like we're not like, don't worry. It's not like we're like, we can't be without each other. Like, it's not like that.
No.
It's just like, I think we like, and this is what I wanted in a marriage. Like we just like love each other so much where we like want to be together every night. And like, I heard all these stories about, maybe it just hasn't happened yet, but I heard all these stories about the first year of marriage and being like, "You're going to fight 24/7 and all this." And I'm like, I haven't really, like, of course we have our bickering, but like we haven't had a serious fight.
Oh, really? You still haven't?
Maybe when we were dating, but not since we've been married. Because we've learned how to like communicate to each other.
Yeah,
like,
that's a big part of it.
Yeah, he knows when I give him the silent treatment, I'm upset. I know when he's raising his voice at the dogs that he's upset. Like, we know the signs where we know what to do when the other person's upset. Like, he knows I might need space for a little bit to relax. And then I know that I just need to like approach him really calmly and like be like, it's okay. Like, so I think we've just had to learn those things over time, where dating for so long is a plus to that, because I don't think we're going to have, like, of course we're going to have our arguments, but I don't think the first year of marriage is going to be as hard as people have said, because we've lived together. We've just learned to communicate. We're That's raising dogs together.
Do you feel like the people who have said that the first year of marriage is the hardest are people that lived together prior, or didn't live together prior to marriage?
Yeah, because it really does
Because
matter.
Living together is hard. I mean, it brings out a whole new dynamic.
I honestly was like, I refuse to say we're going to get married until we can live together. Like, I mean, I waited until we were engaged. But like, I always told him, like,
which I think is the only way it was like really acceptable in the family.
And that's the thing.
They still had problems with it, but they were like, well, they're engaged, so they're at least getting married.
That's part of the reason why we waited till we were engaged.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I forgot what I was saying. Sorry. Getting engaged. Yeah, living with someone is super crucial. I know it goes against what a lot of people believe in, but maybe if you even just have separate rooms, I don't know, make it work.
Yeah,
because you need to see how they are. Like, you need to really see if they're 100%. Similar to you, because that can be a big issue with marriages, because you tend to, like, you know, you're in the honeymoon phase and you may not like something that someone else is doing, but you're not going to tell them about it because you want things to go well. Mm-hmm. And then it just bubbles up and explodes. Mm-hmm. So being able to kind of see how they live, like if they like to have friends over at midnight and you need to wake up at 5 a.m., you know what I mean? And they're like loud. Like, those things are important.
Absolutely.
Because you have to be able to like live together. You're roommates, you know? So when I lived with him and I was like, he's the best roommate I've had, I was like, okay, cool, we're good. So no offense, Kaylin, love you. But yeah, I think that's also an important point, is like, try to live with them for a little bit, because you learn a lot.
Yeah. It's so important, because two people's lifestyles just may not mesh at all together. Living together is either going to make it or break it. Mm-hmm. If you can like function and coexist together and you're like, ooh, this is really nice, then you know that you have found your forever person. If you can't, then you can't.
The hardest thing for us has been like, I have more of a minimalist view of like, I don't want that much stuff, and he likes everything. He likes to have things. And so that's something we've had to like work through. We're still trying to figure out the balance with that. But like, I'm the type that's like, if it's not useful, why do you have it?
Yeah.
Like, everything has to have a purpose. And he's just like, oh, I want to collect this is great. So
it's like such a guy thing.
Yeah, that's something that's probably the hardest thing for me personally. May not be for him, but like, to just adjust to that. Like, I can't have my cute like minimalistic house. Like, it's gonna be full of things, but like I can also kind of convince him not to just keep things all the time. Mm-hmm. So
it is nice that you guys are both extroverted, so you both really value time with people and like hanging out with people often. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm introverted and I was married to an extrovert, and he would like be like, oh, somebody's coming over for dinner tonight, and I was like, cool. So I'd have to make dinner and then like socialize, and I just felt like that stuff happened a lot. And sometimes I liked it if it was like a close group of friends, but sometimes it was just exhausting.
Yeah.
Or, you know, he would get upset because he wanted to go out somewhere and I wanted to stay in. Like the introvert extrovert piece.
Yeah, I know what
that's a huge deal in itself.
That would be hard.
Yeah, unless you can come up with like compromise.
Yeah, with us, we try to like get along with each other's friends. Like, we try to get to know each other's friends, which is also really great because you know, just that's a big part of each other's lives. Right. And then what was the other thing?
It's taking the initiative to like get to know that person too. Like,
when
you ask about his friends, you're saying, I want to know who you're hanging out with because I love you. Like, I want to know why you love hanging out with them, and if they're your friends, I want them to be my friends.
Right. Yeah. And another thing we do is we do weekly date nights, because that's something I wanted to start right away, because that's, you know, if you're in the habit, it's something you can do. Obviously, when we have a baby, I know it's going to change.
Doesn't have to. I can come over and watch the baby.
That's true. Maybe the first couple months, maybe not, but
yeah.
But yeah, I think that's important too, is like, don't forget to date your spouse, because I feel like what happens is people just like stop that and then they go 10 years without a date, which is crazy. You need to be able to have time just one-on-one. Like for us, it's just like going out to eat and just talking. Like we put our phones away and just talk, because like a lot of times, even though we live together, we don't always just like conversate. We'll have the TV going or something. Right. So I think that's being intentional
about it, and like, you know, making sure to develop that intimacy with each other every week is like super, super crucial.
Yeah, we make it happen too. Like we're like, okay, Wednesday night this week. Like we make sure that it's gonna happen, even when we're like busy. We're like, okay, so Friday afternoon, got it. Like lunch, okay, let's do it.
That's
like
awesome.
It doesn't have to be like every Friday night. Like it's just like whenever you can make time.
Yeah, to
do that, I think is important, because that's really when I felt like, you know, we have time to connect and like time to really catch up. Because even though you live together, you're on different schedules, and there's some times where we only get like an hour together. So
totally.
Anyway, that's my advice. I'm very cold.
It's chilly in here, guys. It's no longer hot in here anymore, and it feels great. So going back to that original statement question.
Oh gosh.
Have you noticed a change being a fiance versus a wife when being sexual? Like, do you feel like after you got married, there was a change in your sex life? Did you feel differently about it in any way?
There was
did you feel more like it was more accepted now because you were married?
I think so. I think there was like that feeling of like, now everyone supports this. Like it's like one of those things where it's like, even though I don't care about judgment, it's like I don't feel as guilty about it. Like you know, I don't want children right now specifically, but like if we were to have a kid, like get pregnant, it's not that big of a deal, whereas like before it would have been. Like I went through a scare once. It was pretty bad.
I remember that.
And so that was like before we were even engaged, and so like I think it's just knowing that whatever happens, like we're married, so people aren't gonna like judge us as much. And I think there was probably a part of me that felt maybe like when I got married, it was like, okay, now it's okay. Like, I'm sure there was a part of me because of, you know, growing up that way. But like, I can't think of, like the fact that it's been better. Like, I think it's gotten better over the years, but I don't think it really changed much when we got married, besides maybe just like that mindset of like, we're good now. Like, and no matter what happens, we're good.
Well, and Basil, I remember like the week after you guys got married, I came over and Basil was like, I didn't pull out for the first time. I was like, oh, how does it feel, Basil? How does that feel?
Yeah, we did wait for that too. Because like you gotta trust, like we don't use condoms, like we just use birth control, so like you gotta be extra careful. But like, even now though there's just
pre-ejaculation, but okay.
Now it's just one of those things where it's like, when it happens, it happens.
Yeah, so that's way different, right?
That's true.
Isn't it different to not be like, okay, you gotta pull out? That like that's like stressful when you have to like worry about that.
Yeah, and I kind of like, it wasn't just me like I don't want children before I'm married. It was also like I can't have get pregnant before I'm married, because then like my whole wedding's gonna change. We may push off the wedding. So like there were like actual logical reasons why I was like I need to wait. Right now would not be ideal because financial stuff, but like I don't know. It's just. Yeah, I guess you get to a point where it's like, you know, we want a lot of kids, so it happens when it happens. We're not like trying, but like there is that part where we don't have to worry as much, which is why I suck at taking birth control. But anyway, yeah.
Yep.
I guess there is that guilt that like, I guess maybe I did have some, because like it did feel like it was okay when I got married a little bit more. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty natural. But it didn't seem to affect you too much.
No, not too bad.
So that's cool. That's good. I'm glad that that's your experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The last part. Yeah. Is that what we're on?
The
letting
the woman lets herself go once she's married. Is that Is that like, I'm not sure.
Like you stop taking care of yourself, or like,
yeah, that's what I'm assuming that means. Like
you don't care about your
dating,
looks.
You put on makeup or like, try to have a good appearance. But then as you get to know the person more, you let those guards down. God. And obviously once you get married, it's like, you're going to see each other at the worst possible moments.
Oh, here's the thing, y'all. Living together is one of those moments where you're going to see each other at those moments. Like, that wasn't even a sentence, but...
Yeah, I got you.
Like, I think because we lived together, we saw, like, I didn't care if he saw me without makeup. I literally, when we were best friends, I would, like, not wear a bra and I'd be, like, not wearing makeup. Like, I didn't care.
How dare you tempt him like that, Kylie?
I was wearing a sweater, okay? One time he hugged me and I was like, this is really awkward.
Side hug.
Yeah, no. Side. But he saw me like that all the time before we were even dating, because like I said last episode, I think you need to have a healthy perspective of that, and like, don't be so scared to show him what you look like without makeup, honey. Mm-hmm. You're beautiful, right? So letting yourself go, I haven't experienced that. Like, I've never been like, oh, now that I'm married, I can just not do anything with myself, because I've always been the type that's like, I want to like take care of myself and like present myself in a certain way, now I have more time to focus on that kind of thing. So
yeah,
but like I've experienced kind of the opposite of that. Like, I still want to look good for him. I'm not just like, he's going to love me no matter what. I know he's going to, but like there are moments where like when we're going on date night, I want to look good, So I think that whole mindset is stupid.
Yeah.
And if someone does, oh well, like,
it's so dumb, because it's like, when you're marrying the person, or at least you should know this before you marry the person. Maybe you don't have the awareness of this, but your body's going to change.
Oh yeah.
Your looks are going to change.
Yeah.
The person you're marrying, like, you're getting older. You're vowing to be with this person for the rest of your life.
Right.
You're going to see each other in the worst moments. And with that is going to come like major changes. And one comment that I used to get on my videos a lot, like before I started owning my body, was like, you've let yourself go. Oh, because when I first started YouTube, I was pregnant and I was pretty thin. I also had like a debilitating illness when I was pregnant, but whatever, that's beside the point. And then obviously after 2 kids, like, my body was different, and then I started gaining weight, and then that's when I started getting comfortable with my body, and I was like, screw diet culture, screw all this crap.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, I want to live freely now. And so once I started to live more freely, like, I gained some weight. Mm-hmm. And I got so many comments that were just like, you've let yourself go. And even when I announced my divorce, a lot of people were like, it's because you're fat. It's like, that's why he didn't want to be with you anymore, because you stopped caring about how you look. And it's like,
people are so stupid.
I wouldn't want to be with somebody who thought that anyway.
Hell no. So. No way.
Yeah,
I think that's what it comes down to.
That's like, it's straight up immaturity.
Yeah.
Like, that's just,
if anyone tells you you're letting yourself go, screw them.
Yeah.
And that whole like comment is stupid. So yeah, you're gonna change, things are gonna happen.
Right.
You're gonna see each other at your bad times.
It's so dumb, like, commenting on somebody else's looks and body,
right,
and relationship in that way.
Right.
It's like
anything about what's going on.
Yeah. It's like, what if I gain 20 pounds and my husband likes it?
Yeah. What if you've been struggling with eating forever and now you can finally eat?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you don't know what people are going through. Mm-hmm. So don't make those. I saw a TikTok that was like, this girl who quit her job and she got fired. No, she got fired, and people were commenting like, it's probably because you're ugly. And I'm like, what? Like, how are you that kind of person? Yeah.
I know, it shouldn't shock me, but it still kind of does when I hear things like that.
Yeah. Because
it's like, a person's looks have nothing to do with their character.
Right. She responded to it, so that's the only reason why I saw that comment. Of course, they deleted it after, But, yeah, it's just, it's one of those things. It's, don't judge people from what they look like.
Yeah.
But.
And you should be fully comfortable to let yourself go completely with your spouse.
Yes.
Too. Like, that should actually be something that should be a goal. Like, if you can feel completely yourself and be free to be you, then you're in a good relationship.
Yep. I was scared too at first, because I've always been like, I don't want people to see me fart or hear me fart.
Yeah, that's how I've always been.
But
then, like I said in the last episode, I think it was like my ex
You
never
never
heard me
seen
fart. Yeah, I don't think he still has to this
I
day.
did like maybe 2 years ago. I don't know when the first time was, but I just kind of did it, and I laughed, and he's like, "That was a good one." And then I was like, "Okay, we're good." Also, when you see them like go to the bathroom for the first time,
oh yeah,
that was weird for me. Like, just not me seeing it, but like me doing it.
yeah.
But like once you do it the first time, it's all good.
Oh yeah, and then you're like 10 years into marriage, and like one person's pooping while the other person's showering.
Exactly, and it's you already do that,
which is nasty, but
yeah,
it happens when you're married. You don't care.
Oh, for sure, it's really gross. You just accept that the other person's human.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's a healthy way to look at it. That's much better than being like, he cannot see me. Use the restroom. This is not good. I don't know why I'm Australian. I don't know.
Yep.
So I guess just find someone you're comfortable with.
Yeah. And it sounds like because you've been so comfortable with Basil ever since the beginning, you haven't had a lot of these like insecurities or relationship questions when it comes to sex and intimacy, because you've always been able to trust him and you've always felt safe and comfortable.
He's just reacted differently than other people. Like, he's seen me throw up, and I thought he would be like, ew, oh, gross, because that's how I am. But like, he like literally sat in there and held my hair, and I was like, okay. So like, it's those kinds of things where it's like, yeah, wow, I really thought you were gonna be like judging me for this, but like, you're not. And it's shocking when you meet someone like that. Because I think he's challenged me to be like that too, because I'm like like I am the type that's like, oh, nasty. But like,
although I do feel like if he was really, really sick,
right,
I
would
would do
the
same for him.
I'd be there for him. I would just not breathe in.
Inside you're like, oh, but you would do it.
Yeah, but I
love.
think like then you don't have to fear like when you're sick and the other person will help you. Like,
yeah,
it's those kinds of things where it's like you need to know that in any situation they've got your back,
yeah,
or your hair. So
yeah, cute.
Okay,
so cute. May we all have relationships like this. Cheers. I don't have any water.
Cheers.
Thanks for sharing and opening up about that.
I don't know.
Do you have anything else you want to add on?
I don't know, y'all.
For this episode?
I just like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other things, but like, it's just hard to see kind of the change between being engaged and married, because it's just, it doesn't feel that much different. But if you do have any questions, please let me know. Or anything you want me to be more specific on. Like, I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm like, everything's just so good. Like, you know, if you want to hear about like the hard things we've gone through, I'm willing to share that too. So it's not to say like, oh, we have the perfect marriage, because obviously we don't. And so feel free to ask away.
Yeah. Yeah. Next week, we are actually taking a hiatus because I will be in Florida. But the week after that, we're going to be answering all of your questions. Mm-hmm. So if this podcast episode sparks any more questions for Kiley or myself, or you have something that's unrelated to this topic, anything at all, nothing is off limits except maybe my sexual life details.
She'll get there when she gets there.
I'll get there one day maybe. But everything else, if you have a question, ask us. Yeah. We would love to answer all of your questions in the next episode. So if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and put those down below in the comments. But thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Let us know if you enjoy these kinds of episodes where we just kind of, why are you laughing?
I think I burped in the microphone.
Oh,
I don't know if
I don't think you're, no, you probably won't be able to hear it. Okay. But let us know if you enjoyed this episode. And if you'd like more like this, just candid conversations.
I know. We didn't know what we were going to talk about, and we're 55 minutes in. So
that's us. We just talk so much.
Sister problems. All right. We'll see y'all next 2 weeks from now.
All right. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.